So let's talk about starts. Let's talk about getting this flywheel moving fast and feeling strong at the beginning of any piece. I'm Cassie Neiman, a You Can Row 2 Master Rowing Instructor, and we are going to talk about starts. So if you are doing a short piece, probably somewhere under the range of 2,000 meters or 10 minutes or less, you may want to implement some sort of strategy to get the flywheel moving fast and to kind of start strong. Now, the key to one of these starts is knowing how to settle. So I'm gonna go over a way to do a start, but if you are going to implement this into whatever race piece you want to do, you want to make sure that you've also practiced settling, which basically means slowing down, calming down, because we can't just keep going at this high intensity really fast for any length of time. Okay, maybe a very short length of time, but at some point you'll burn out. So as you consider adding strategy to your racing, also consider what the next part of that is, and that would be settling into your goal pace. Then you can kind of maintain that through the end of the piece. So if we're talking specifically about a race strategy, one of the starts that I like to do and that I like to teach others because it's pretty simple is starting with a half slide, 3/4, lengthen, full. So that's 5 strokes, starting at a half, 3/4, lengthen, full. So once you get all set in, right, get your feet in the right place, get your butt in the right place. When you come up to grab that handle, you're basically in that half slide position. So you're not getting your shins all the way to vertical because it's kind of hard to get in that position. You've probably got your feet flat. Your butt should be behind your hips, and then you reached forward to grab that handle. That's basically half slide right there. So it's kind of halfway up. So that is a really good place to start. So as we run through this start for a race, we can also run through it for just everyday rowing. Basically ways to kind of get that flywheel moving so you're not taking a big full stroke to start and really like kind of feeling the load and the resistance on that handle. Instead, you're kind of building up to it. So if we sit at that half slide position, right, the first stroke is just going to be driving the legs down and just maybe a little bit of layback, maybe not much, because we haven't done that much to need a bunch of layback to follow it. So then we're gonna come right back up to a second half slide stroke. Then we're gonna lengthen it out a little bit more on the front end and go to a 3/4, which is basically a little more than half, not quite full. So somewhere in the middle. That's gonna give us a little more layback. And then the lengthen stroke, it just means a little more than 3/4 on the front and the back end. So we're gonna lengthen out just a little bit more, a little more layback, and that'll take us into a big full stroke. So what you'll find is that we're kind of starting in the middle and we're lengthening on both ends. This is a perfect way to consider getting the flywheel started at any point. Like I said, it doesn't need to be hard, fast, strong. It could just be starting at that half slide, taking a little stroke, taking another little stroke, getting a little longer, and then even a little longer, and then into that full stroke. And you can even hear the flywheel kind of picking up as you go. Now, the nice thing is that this machine is gonna respond to the work we're putting in immediately. It's not like we're actually moving a boat through the water and picking up speed. The machine responds, okay? So the small strokes simply like remind our body what we're doing. They kind of get us in the movement, and we start to increase the range of motion on both ends, and that feels good. So let's think about this on the kind of lower intensity end first. Let's just say you want to row for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Nothing high intensity. You can start at that half slide and you'll go half, and then another little half, and then a little more 3/4, and then a lengthen out on the front and the back, and then a big full. And then you can go right into your piece, right? No extra work was done. You kind of got it moving, thinking small in the middle and then bigger on both ends until you're in that full stroke, your comfortable pace. Now, let's bring it to the other end of the spectrum, and we're gonna do a race, and we're all jacked up. We're all excited. We have a goal, and we wanna be hard and fast off the line, okay? Same thing, we're just gonna increase the intensity, increase the speed, and following that high 5 start, we're gonna go into anywhere from 5 to 10 strokes that are very powerful and strong. Kind of just getting in it, right? You're starting off feeling good, getting that flywheel moving, burning that adrenaline that you have. At the end of those either 5 to 10 strokes, you gotta settle down, okay? And so what that means is you're gonna take that big stroke, and then on that 11th stroke, you're gonna slow the recovery. Slow it down, and then you get a big push into that next stroke, trying to maintain the same force you were doing before, but slowing it down and letting your monitor kind of dictate back to where your pace should be for the rest of that piece. Okay, so again, if you're building this strategy from the beginning, right, and you want to add the start in, you need to make sure you're also including that settle and the rest of the piece, having some sort of strategy there, because you can't just start fast and stay there, trust me. If you are starting fast, it's gonna look like this. We're gonna start at that same half slide position. The hips are gonna be a little further away from the heels than a full compression. Your feet should be flat. Your shoulders are still in front of your hips. This is super important. Body swing forward is always, always, always going to be there. Lay back, less important in the beginning, okay? So it's gonna look more like this, those first 5 strokes. It's gonna be a half, half, 3/4, lengthen, and then a full. And then you would go into your high strokes. So you can see that that was a lot faster, a lot harder. The flywheel picked up even more. I would go into a high 10 strokes, settle on number 11, go right into my goal pace, hold that for the rest of my piece, or whatever other strategies I might have. But the key here is that we're getting that flywheel moving. We're telling the computer that we are ready to work, right? We're saying right from the beginning, this is where we want to be. And ultimately, that will hopefully set us up for a stronger, better time overall, okay? So that's our racing start. But remember, you can always use this also as just a pleasant start. Doesn't need to be a racing start. So I'm just gonna row, I'm getting warmed up, the machine is at a dead stop, I just sit down, and I just need to get moving. So start with that small stroke in the middle, a little smaller stroke, less layback, right? A little more layback, 3/4, lengthen a little longer, and then a full stroke. So really 5 strokes to kind of get that machine moving. And ultimately, if all this racing starts and the high 10s and the settles, seems like a lot, right? Because you are seeking this information out here, I want to just keep it simple. Think 5 strokes to start in the middle and get longer on the ends and build up to a strong pace. That's really all it takes. But you want to make sure you're not going super fast, super hard, that you can't maintain it for whatever distance it is you want to do. So hopefully that kind of helps you get started on the machine, get that flywheel moving, feeling good. And if you're going to do a race piece, now you got somewhat of a start. All right, so remember, half, half, 3/4, lengthen, full. All right, good luck. Let me know how it goes.